Is it turned on?
Oh,
hello. Right, hello. Okay, so before we get started, just a few little things. First of all, I've been a little bit unwell the last week. Now, I'm pretty much over it, but as a result of not being so great, I haven't really had a chance to practice this as often as I like, so it might not be as coherent as I want it to be, and I might need to sort of stop and take a drink of water just to catch my breath a bit. I'm okay, as long as I don't fall over. But yeah, just that, and also the camera randomly likes to switch off every now and again, so I have to go and press pause, so restart it. So yeah, how bad will this panel be? I don't know, but we will find out together how bad it's going to be. But anyway, so just checking I'm actually recording my own audio. Yeah. Right, I guess we can get this group therapy session started. So, hey guys, welcome to my panel, the Sonic Tuber Seminar. So, if you're here, I'm guessing it's because you've got some interest in either Sonic video content or video content creation in general, or maybe you just kind of want to learn a little bit more about what goes on in making any kind of video content, or I don't know, you were just tired from waiting outside and was like, oh, chairs, and came to sit down. So, yeah, let's get on with it. So, who am I? Oh, there I am. I look like I've won a competition to awkwardly stand next to a statue, but yes, that's me. Yeah, so my name is Dave, and I run the YouTube channel Badnik Mechanic. I've been running this now full-time for about 5 years, and yeah, that's kind of what I do. And this is an example of some of the stuff I do. I do these like deep dive analysis type videos into different video games. Now, you might be thinking, yeah, lots of people do that. What makes you different? Well, I look at stuff that other content creators don't really look at. So I look at stuff like scientific theory, literary theory and analysis, as well as stuff like game design theory as well, because, oh, I've got a degree in that, so yeah, I might as well use that money that I spent on it for something. And yeah, so these are 2 examples of videos that I finished, and if you're wondering why there's only 2 completed examples, it's because people of my age and generation, we make these elaborate promises to ourselves that we're going to do these fantastic projects and it will only take 1 month to do them. Oh no, it takes way longer than that, and that's why you're now stood in front of a room full of people trying to convince them that you know about content creation with only 2 examples of completed work. But I promise they're going to be great, the other 2, but anyway. So, why does this panel exist? Why are we all here right now? Well, basically, the term Sonic Tuber, in fact, any kind of video content creator around a game franchise is often looked down upon as quite a negative term. And there's a bunch of reasons for that. One reason is people just don't really get what goes into making good video content. And a lot of people will say, oh, I want to be a content creator, I want to make it as a career, and there's a lot of stuff which people don't really know about that goes into it, and I kind of wish I'd had a big heads up. And also for people in my own content creator community, there's a lot of big serious issues that we don't like to discuss and talk about. It's kind of like an elephant in the room situation, and I really kind of hope that this might start some conversations with the community that I'm involved in, and also ultimately, as well as help improve everybody else's experience in it, also just make better content, because I think as content creators we've got a responsibility to make content that's entertaining, informative, as well as entertaining, really, good honest content. But anyway, that's my moralistic argument out the way. So what do I mean by content creation? I'm sorry I'm standing in front of the slides, by the way, but I can't help it. So what do I mean by content creation? Content creation is a huge umbrella term. But for the purpose of this panel, I'm going to be talking mainly about long-form evergreen content. So that's essentially stuff which is about more than 10 minutes in length, which if you watch it on the day it's released, you could watch it like several weeks, months, even years later, and it would still have the same entertainment value as it did when you first watched it. It doesn't have like an emotional hook in the moment, like say in NewsTuber stuff, or like reaction content. Watch my reaction to this cartoon, guys, yay! Why aren't you watching it 7 years later? Because we've seen it. That kind of thing. So before we also get underway, what I'm talking about isn't set in stone. This isn't necessarily a list of rules. There are Well, I know it's ice, but look, if you could find Sonic set in stone, that's fine, but yeah, I had to work with this. So, Yeah, these aren't set in stone, and they're not frozen. Yeah, they're not frozen. See, I was one step ahead. You put down the baton, and I picked it up, good sir. So, yeah, there are exceptions to everything I'm going to say. So, yeah, there are exceptions to all this stuff. So the first big misconception is that good content takes a long time to make. A lot of people seem to think it's literally just press a button and, hey, I got video now. But no, and there's lots of reasons for this. I'm going to move this chair out of the way so you can actually see the slides easier. Scripts take time to write. So this is the screenshot of my properties page for the last big video that I did. Now, these look like really big numbers, 14 hours to complete this script and 1 month of real time. This is actually underreported. Microsoft did, for some reason, stopped updating this. To give you an idea, my current project, my Frontiers analysis video that I'm working on, it's half the size of this script, and the editing time for that one is 90 hours, and it's not done yet. That's how long scripts take. You might think, well, why use a script at all? Because if you're doing good content, you want a script there because you want your argument in a cohesive way to follow, because ultimately your video is a performance, it's a piece of entertainment for your audience, and if you can structure your argument in a way that's easy for them to follow, they're just going to get way more out of it. Plus you can do additional research to pull in to strengthen what you're saying. Like if you make a point about something in a game that you like or don't like, you can go look up additional evidence to bring in. It's exactly like doing some kind of science report. You're just making it as strong as you possibly can. So scripts are a good idea. Do scripts, but they take a while. And your audio takes a long time. And you might think, how the hell does that happen? Because if you've got a script, you're just reading it. Well, yeah, you are, but the problem is you will always fluff and mess up your words. You'll always mess it up as you're reading it. So you have to stop, go back, find a space where you can delete a chunk, delete that, and then you've got to redo it again, but you have to do it at the same pace and energy as you had in the previous section, otherwise it won't flow. And when you're finished as well, you have to go through it and pick up any background noises that you might hear, get rid of those. Any mouth clicking or heavy breath noises that our squishy human monkey brains naturally filter out, but the microphone doesn't. And that is annoying when you're listening back to it. And the other reason as well is ultimately you're doing a performance, so you need to know when to go up, inflect up, and when to go inflect down, and when to speed up, and when to slow down, because that adds emphasis to what you're saying and makes it more entertaining. And that gets tiring, so you naturally need to take breaks every now and again. So yeah, it doesn't take 2 hours, it's more like 2.5 weeks, but yeah, takes a while. And gathering your video assets takes a while as well, because to give you an example, say you want cutscene footage from a game. If the cutscene is 2 to 3 minutes long, that's 2 to 3 minutes of you literally just standing in front of a computer waiting for your capture card to capture that cutscene. You can't do anything to speed that process up. And if that game has like 10, 15, 20, however many cutscenes, that's real time you can't speed up. And it's the same for gameplay too. If it takes you, say, 2 to 3 minutes to beat, say, I don't know, City Escape, that's 2 to 3 minutes of you playing that game. And you might need to do that 2 or 3 times just so you've got different variations of that, so it's way more entertaining when you go back and do it. And there's not really much you can do to speed this up, but you can help yourself out in the future. Like, these are 2 folders that I have. We've got modern Sonic games, classic Sonic games, and all of these is just full of stuff like cutscene footage and trailers and other gameplay as well. So if I need that stuff for a future project, I can just go in and it's like, yay, I've got this now, so that saves you a bit of time. But yeah, the initial gathering, that takes a long time. But hey, now you're ready for the video. Oh, you fools. You fools. So yeah, this is what a typical piece of video editing software looks like. And what you do is what I've done here is I've taken a clip from Sonic Adventure 2 and I've put it in the timeline. And we've got 2 tracks. For those of you that do Photoshop or image editing, think image layers. So we've got 2 layers. And so we get a piece of video, put it in the timeline, get another piece, put it in the timeline, get another piece, put it in the timeline. It's like, oh, I've got a video now. Oh, this is great. Upload. Give me that YouTube money. Yeah, it doesn't work like that. Here's what a 7-minute long video looks like. So this is from a fellow content creator friend of mine, Seth. You can suddenly see now there's a lot more than 2 tracks. How the hell has that happened? Well, let's take audio as an example. We've got our video track in, so that's two layers tracks. We want to put our own narration over that. Well, now we've got 3. Maybe you want to have some backing music under that. Now we've got 4. Maybe you want to add a sound effect. That's 5. Maybe I want some text on top of the video. We now got 6. Special effects, possibly 7. And it starts building up, and that's for just one clip. And then you kind of want to break it up as well, just purely for your own sanity, because if you have all this on one timeline, oh no, you're going to the doctors and saying, I've had a breakdown, I don't understand why. Because it's hell to organize, so that's why we also break it up. And the other big thing as well is most content creators aren't trained in video editing. We really don't, a lot of us come from different disciplines. Like I came from a drama and also a computer science background. I don't know anything about video editing. So I'm just flying by the seat of my pants, which is why real video editors who are qualified are looking at this and screaming right now. But yeah, fortunately, it doesn't really get more complicated than this. There's not one person in this room that would be stupid enough to do a 3-hour-long analysis of a Sonic game. So here's my 3-hour-long analysis of a Sonic game. Yeah, so this is zoomed out so you can see the entire timeline. Now, you can probably tell, you can't tell what's going on, it's impossible. So you have to zoom in and look at it in different chunks. But I want to draw your attention to this arrow here. You probably can't see it, but it's pointing to layer 46. There were 70 layers. I just couldn't find a decent one to put there. But yeah, there's 70 plus layers of tracks in that timeline. And again, I apologize to qualified video editors for this. But let's just zoom in a bit. Okay, so here's what it looks like close up. Now, every single vertical line you see there dictates the starting point and the ending point of a video clip. So you get your video clip, put it in, and you might be like, okay, I want this, but I don't want that. So you cut there, get rid of that stuff, put it in the timeline. Get another video clip, put it in. You might say, I want this, I want this, I don't want that, but I want that. So more clips. And you do that for every single clip, but you have to do it to the precise frame, otherwise it will look odd every time. And this takes a very long time to do. And depending on the complexities, like what are the special effects you might have, transitions and whatnot, this can take a very, very long time. And as an example, this clip is like about 2 to 3 minutes in length. This is like about 6 to 12 hours of work, depending on the complexity of the sequence that you're doing. So yeah, it takes a while. But what's going on there? We've got a really long video clip where there's not really much thing going on. Why don't we just flood the timeline with stuff like that? We could make videos in days. Well, this is something that we need to talk about, and it's the time-saving traps. And a lot of content creators fall into these nasty habits, and new content creators do this because they think, oh, this will save me tons of time. Yes, it will, but it also really has a negative effect on your work. So B-roll. B-roll is boring. If you're doing so what is B-roll? So you're looking at right now a clip of me playing through the Emerald Coast, and most content creators will probably do something like this. Sega announced a new video game today. It's called Sonic and the Black Knight's Gift Shop from Hell. I think this is going to be great. Here's all my opinions about it. Sega should do what I want to do. Nothing that I said matches up with what you're looking at on the screen. And your audience isn't stupid. They are going to realize that what you're talking to them about doesn't match up with anything they're looking at. And they're going to have this weird feeling of, I don't really like this, what's going on? And to give you an idea as to how crazy it is from what I've noticed, unless you are talking specifically about, say, the Emerald Coast, if you're playing Emerald Coast footage, your audience is probably going to eventually kind of switch off or get a negative impression of you later on, because they're going to realize you're just uploading random clips and talking over the top of them. You're not putting in the efforts. In fact, if you were going to talk about the Emerald Coast, you want to edit this so what you're talking about matches up with what they're looking at. Because again, your audience isn't stupid. their squishy monkey brains are going to work out that what they're looking at doesn't quite match up. And if they find a content creator that is putting in the effort to go that extra step, they're probably going to check out what they're offering over what you're offering in future. So B-roll's boring. Please don't over-rely on it. Okay, so remember that clip from earlier on? Oh, hey, it's me. Oh, dear God. So this is a piece to camera. Does anyone here know what a piece to camera is? Okay, someone not... Right, okay. You know when you're watching the news and they go to the reporters, and the reporters always sort of talk directly to the camera, i.e. directly to you, the viewers at home? That's a piece to camera. It's literally talking directly to a camera. And I like these because I can deliver lots of information in a way which is really difficult, which would otherwise be difficult to do in, like, say, creating unique video assets. I can do it quickly. Or if I want to change the pace of a video or drop a joke or drop some interesting stuff or an observation or elaborate on a point, I can just cut to me talking to the camera, and it also makes it more personal. But like with B-roll, if you make these sequences too long, your audience kind of eventually switches off. They realize I'm just watching a guy in his living room. So yeah, just beware of these. And a fun bit of 2 pieces of trivia. Yes, that is my cat asleep there in the background. She just does that. I don't put her there. She just randomly walks in and crashes. But the other fun bit, this is an actual still from my Sonic Adventure 2 video. If you look in my hair just there, you can see a little bit of debris. Here is another important safety tip. Double, triple check your appearance. That's hair gel I forgot to rub in, and it's there for like the majority of the video, and nobody's spotted it yet. But anyway, that's a big thing. I was like, what the heck is that when I was looking back at it? Okay, trigger warning. We are about to talk into some slightly heavy stuff. There won't be any specifics, but yeah, just so you are aware. Anyway, are you absolutely sure you want to be a content creator? Because your mental health is not ready. It ain't all fun and games, and there's lots of reasons why. Solo working is stressful. Most content creators are doing everything. They are writing the scripts, they're editing the video, recording narration, doing the video thumbnails. They are working in ridiculously long hours. I normally do 12, 16 hours per day, 7 days a week, which is very unhealthy, I know, but what else am I going to do? And other stuff as well, like negotiating with sponsors, making unique spots for sponsors as well, trying to get those people to realize you exist, moderating your communities. Basically everything you are probably doing solo, unless you are very, very wealthy and can afford to pay people to do things, you are doing 90% of the work yourself. On top of potentially full-time college, full-time university, real-life family commitments, a full-time job. And some people are not good at this balance. And some people have really had some major burnout and just go through the, dear God, what am I doing with my life? So yeah, just be aware there isn't really any easy shortcuts to this. It's very stressful. And the other big one, it's also very lonely. Now, this is the thing that kills me more than anything else. This is the thing that I often have to really try and clear my head on. And I know some content creator friends who have they've nearly done some stupid things. Sorry, guys. So, if you are working full-time, you're probably not going to an office. You're probably staying in your own home or your own workspace, and you're working a long time. Who are you meeting? Like, even if you go to a workplace, you've probably got people you talk to or speak to. But people who do full-time content creation, we suddenly realize, damn, I really don't know anyone. Like, who do I really meet? It's like, I don't really have many friends, and Jesus, how am I going to get into a relationship? And not a lot of content creators realize that this can happen, and it happens to a lot of people. And a lot of people that I know have gone to some really bad places, and I should know because I was one of them. And it's really hard to get out of this, because like little things will just trigger this as well, and it's like really difficult to sort of break out this mindset of. And there ain't really much you can do about it. And you might think, like, well, how can you feel lonely? You've got an amazing community of people that you talk to. And don't get me wrong, that is incredible, and I will cherish that, and you should defend it, even if you've like only got a handful of people. But it isn't real people that you're actually talking to. And that gets to you over time. And yeah, it just feels very lonely, unfortunately. So if you're not okay with that, just be aware this might not be something you want to do. And I was going to say something else slightly more cheerful at this point, but I can't remember, it's completely gone. But yeah, there are like content creator groups who will reach out, and you can chat with them and talk to them and support, and they'll support you as well. But this is one thing that we as a content creator community are not very good at addressing. And I think we really need to change this. Do not become addicted to this. So this is data. Now, me as a computer scientist, I love this stuff. This is fantastic. Yeah, don't become addicted to this. When you start uploading your videos, YouTube gives you data, and other companies get in contact with you, and they're like, oh yeah, do you want to sign up to our social blade? Yeah, guys, it's great. Don't. This ends up when you're chasing numbers because you want your video to be as good as it was previously. Yeah, please don't do this. Just ignore this stuff. Use this if you want to pitch yourself to sponsors. I know lots of content creators who become addicted to this stuff, and they're just chasing numbers and they're getting stressed about it. Honestly, just ignore your data analysis and just release stuff that you like and you think is good, and you will see very quickly if your audience responds to it or not. And I asked a couple of my content creator buddies about this, and again, they have all pretty much said they no longer check their analytics, and some of them have outright just deleted it altogether because they just don't like it. And please, if Social Blade tells you, oh, you should be at 1,000 million subscribers by now, bollocks. It's nonsense. Just ignore that. All right, so this physical peak of perfection is now going to talk to you about your physical health. Please don't negate it. Please go for walks and do exercise, because like I said, if you're working 12 ridiculous hours a day, you're probably not doing much exercise. Case study here, me. In 2019, I was about 19.5 stone, and my health got to the point of, oh dear, I'm waking up out of breath. Oh dear, I can't get up the stairs very easily. Oh, well, oh, what do you mean we're not allowed to leave the house anymore? What's that all about? So yeah, I spent a good part of my lockdown just doing basic 30-minute exercises off YouTube in my front room, and I lost about, I don't know, I think I got to about 15.5 stone at one point for like halfway into the first lockdown, which I don't think that was pretty damn bad for just being able to do stuff in my front room. But anyway, yes. The upside of this as well, I realized that after just doing exercise, I was way more up for actually doing video editing. It was just like this energizer that I needed. And also going for a walk really helps clear your head when you get the inevitable block. It's just really good. It's just great for your content creation as well. But yeah, that's the heavy stuff. So if you still want to do it, there's a few things you should know. People are going to try and scam you. Yeah, these are comical, but once you start getting your name out, people start contacting you, and they're trying to get money out of you. They're trying to get access to your accounts. They will do whatever they can. And here is an actual scam email I received. And here are some clues to detect it's not a real email. First of all, the big one. The domain name, it's not come from an actual company domain name. They're almost always random email service providers you've never heard of. The other big clue over there as well, we recently discovered your channel. Ah, my channel has a name. So scammers will often send these out in bulk, and no human being in the history of the universe has ever got mail merged to work correctly, so they don't bother trying to get your name or details in there. They'll keep it as generic as possible. But the two biggest clues are down here from the Capcom Advertising Department representative. Oh, really? You know, most employees have names. We all have names, and we sign emails with our names. That way we know it's a real person we're talking to. And likewise, you'll get this nonsense, the copyright 2024 Capcom, by Tags Limited, all rights reserved. No. So normally any professional email you receive has tons of information on the bottom of it. There'll be stuff like the company address, other methods to contact them. There might even be a unique company ID number depending on where it's come from in the world. Yeah, there's loads of ways to verify it's a genuine email. Now be careful, because literally yesterday I got a scam email that had all of this stuff corrected, and for a minute I was like, is this genuine or not? But again, it was the domain that actually gave it away. It was a fake one. And also, some people just decide they don't like you. And yeah, the reasons for not liking you are definitely not crazy. As an example, you could do like the greatest video ever, and it will be fantastic, and someone will just decide, nah, I hate you. As an example, there was this one guy, after I did my Sonic Adventure analysis video, he flooded the comments with all this abuse saying how I was a terrible person and I should just die, and all my sponsors should leave me and whatnot. And this was because in this 1 hour plus long video on Sonic Adventure, I spent 10 seconds talking about Sonic Generations. Basically, I made a joke about it, which is a game I happen to really like, but this guy took offense to that and wrote all this abuse in the comments, but didn't stop there. He went on to make a goddamn video response. He spent his weekend making this huge video angry at me, Chowmix, and a bunch of other content creators as well for slagging off his favourite games. So that's how he spent his weekend. But yeah, and now I use him as an anecdote for panels like this. So yeah, just you can't really do much about it. Just best to ignore. You can just ignore most of them. Okay, so here's a genuine complaint that a fellow content creator had sent to them. Sonic tubers think they're these untouchable gods who are completely immune to any criticism. This was in response to somebody saying, I don't like the Knuckles TV show. Yeah, good content creators don't think this, and the reason why is essentially what a professor of mine at university said. He said that he loves it when students quote him in their reports, but not in support of his stuff, but like argue against it. Because he said it tests his mettle, it tests his argument, and he actually longs for the day that someone proves him wrong, because it means he's learnt something and can use it for his future reports that he does. And that's kind of the same for content creation. If somebody makes a good point that you disagreed with, and you were like, oh, damn, you're right, that's not a bad thing. It means you've learnt something, and it means your future content is actually stronger for it. So yeah, good content creators don't think this. We welcome criticism quite a lot, but I like this especially because the guy was saying he didn't like the Knuckles TV show. He doesn't actually address the point. He's just angry because this Sonic tuber had a goddamn opinion about something, which I just think is amazing. But yeah, that's that. So now we're at the end game. What exactly is good content? Now we're here. Well, good content is essentially just about making the argument. Well, all right, but what does that mean? Well, it's basically just giving your opinion on something. And when you start doing that, you might get a lot of people saying, but your opinion's not fact. What do you know? Well, the thing is, if you're a good content creator, yeah, your opinion is not fact, but you should treat it like it is. Oh, I can't wait to justify this one. So, here's the thing. If you are giving your opinion on something, if you pick up literally any kind of academic text whatsoever, it has never ever started with, before we begin, guys, I just want to explain that this book on the anatomy of this insect is just my opinion. It could be wrong. You know, that has never ever happened in the history of stuff. So your video you should also kind of treat it as fact, but there's ways to do that in a way which is responsible and which is going to help support which is going to support what you're saying. So, as an example, this is 90% of most opinions. This sucks. This is peak. And yes, you will get cheers from people who agree or disagree with you. But that's not giving the argument. That's just saying, this thing is good, this thing is bad. What about people who are undecided? Could you do me a favor and press the record button, please? I did say this might happen, but yeah. Cool. Thank you. Awesome. So yeah, that's just like, you will see people saying, oh, this game is so great, yeah! And thousands of people are like, yeah, it is! oh, this thing sucks, yeah, it's terrible. But there's people in the middle of that, and there might be people on the other side who you also want to talk to and communicate with. How do you do that? That's not making the argument, that's just getting cheers from the crowd. And good content creators know not necessarily to do this. So what is making the argument? If you're doing a video and you're saying, this game is good, this game is bad, I highly advise you say, here is some footage to illustrate the point. You're showing your audience visually the point you are making. That's powerful visual evidence to help support what it is you're talking about. Here is another reviewer saying a similar thing. This is kind of a strength in numbers kind of thing. If other people are saying similar stuff to you, it supports your argument, but if it's a well-respected critic too, it kind of has that slightly, it just elevates your position a little bit more. It doesn't always work, but it's kind of a good, useful practice. Here is another game doing a similar thing which works better, this is why, and subsequently the opposite to that, one which is doing it not as good, this is why. And again, video games don't live in vacuums. Comparison is like the very foundation of any form of critical thinking. So it's good to compare stuff, like some people will say, all right, why is Sonic Forces not a good game and you're not allowed to compare it? No, you are allowed to compare anything to anything, as long as it's within the realm of a logical argument. You are allowed to do this. And if you do that as well, your audience can see, even if they disagree with you, they will see where you're coming from with your argument way better than just saying, I think this thing works and it's better than this game, or it does it better than that one, or not as good as that one. If you can clearly show why one game works well or not as well, but in the similar thing that you're talking about, it does or doesn't. If that makes sense, I've just realized how much I messed up that sentence, but whatever. And yeah, the other one as well, here is a scientific report, paper, essay, recognized critical thinking that's verified that also supports my point. This kind of gets into more advanced stuff, which is like explaining how we react to games on a cognitive level kind of thing. If you can do this and you understand the stuff you are looking at, which again, I don't understand all of it, I just like take little bits that I think, yeah, this kind of works. That's very powerful evidence to support what you're saying. It's very hard to instantly discredit that from someone else. It all helps to support your audience where it is you're coming from. And finally, here is a developer explaining the design theory that supports my point. The YouTube channel Game Developers Conference, there are loads of developers on there talking about previous games, and they have tons of theories about why they designed their games the way they did. A lot of that stuff can apply to different video games, and you can see where the theory's kind of been used by other studios as well. That's very powerful evidence to support where you're coming from, where your argument is, and it's very difficult for someone to kind of go away and not at least think about. So, which brings me on to the final thing. This is an actual thing that Nick, Game Apologist, had sent to him. Now, I will stress, I'm not bringing this up to mock this person. I think this person was genuinely asking this from a good place, but I think it's a really good point. To you, what does it feel like to influence others' opinions towards something they haven't watched? Not saying you should not voice your opinion, but maybe think about how you voice it. How does it make me feel? Pretty damn fantastic. Now, this is kind of the thing. There's this meme. I should have actually put this up instead. How many of you have seen that meme of Sam Raimi's Spider-Man where he's fighting Bone Storm in the steel cage and he's sort of against the steel cage and the caption is, "That's a nice opinion. Did a YouTuber give it to you?" Yeah. Yeah, and the joke is, oh, you haven't played the game. You've just watched a YouTuber say that. Ha ha ha. I kind of want a part 2 to this, of Bone Storm looking up saying, well, yeah, Spider-Man, because he had a really well thought out argument that was arranged in a way that I could understand and follow. It was really good and funny, and he brought in lots of examples and showed his argument in a way where I could clearly follow. And I understood what he was talking about, Spider-Man, and I obviously, if I play the game myself and I change my mind, that's a very likely thing that's going to happen. But based on what he said and the effort he put in, I kind of think he has a point and he might be right. Why, Spider-Man? What do you think? Spider-Man looks on in horror because now, to convince Bone Storm the opposite, Spider-Man's got to do all this. So if you're making this argument, suddenly, well, this sucks or this is peak, can't really touch you what you say. yeah, you'll get people that will try and bring you down by just saying, "Oh yeah, well you're wrong. This sucks. This is great," or whatever. But honestly, when people watch your stuff, they're not stupid. They will, if they really have watched your stuff to get something out of it, they're going to listen to what you've got to say. And even if they don't agree with you instantly, they might go away and think about what it is you've said. If you've put in the effort, people kind of recognize that, and they will eventually think about what you've said. And they might not always come around to your way of thinking, but sometimes they do. And I think that is just a way better way to actually get your point across when doing content creation, because ultimately it helps explain where you're coming from, and it kind of educates your audience as well, so they can understand how to basically talk about video games better. So yeah, that's the modelled end of my presentation. So anyway, I don't know if we've got time for a bit of Q&A, but it's time for the mandatory Q&A session now. Yeah, so if you've got any burning questions... Yeah, nobody's leaving. This is mandatory Q&A. No, you don't have to ask any questions. I just kind of put this in here because I figured, well, do panels have Q&As? I don't know, I guess so. Yeah, so I kind of find that on these types of panels, sometimes people have questions or they just want to say something, and afterwards they're like, I wish I'd have said something. So there's some prompts there. No one's laughing, so I guess nobody read the bottom question. Oh, someone did. Someone's read the bottom question. I'll give you a minute, yeah. So, yeah, question.
What degree was it you said you got?
So I'm going to sound really posh here. I have 2 degrees. do not do this. So I did drama a very long time ago, back in 2006, I think. Yeah, when Sonic... Oh, God, it was when Sonic 06. That explains everything. Yeah, I did drama many, many years ago, so I had like an arts background. And then for about 10 years, I was like, well, this ain't getting me anywhere. So I then did like a mini little internship at Sumo Digital on a little game you might have heard of called Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing Transformed. And is there anyone in here under 16? Okay. I absolutely loved it. So yeah, it was really good, and I looked into any kind of funding I could get to go back into education, and I did a college degree doing computer science, and then I went on to university and did a degree in computer science and games development as well. So yeah, don't do that. That is a massive waste of time and money. Please don't do that. Just pick a good science and maybe like an arts as like an elective thing, so you have that kind of double mindset of an analytical science thinking, and also like an arts eye as well if you kind of want to do content creation, I think. Yep.
Two questions following on from that. Where did you do computer science and game development, and why is it a waste of time? This is your career.
No, and by the waste of time, I meant like doing 2 degrees, like the whole. Yeah, it's a difficult one. Like university isn't for everybody, I think. Like there's a genuine thing that I will advocate. It's good and useful, and it kind of changes the way you think about stuff. But yeah, it's not for everybody, and I think as well for computer science especially, you kind of have to go into it with a lot of pre-existing skill. Like you get to a certain point and then all of a sudden it becomes harder, and people who have like had years of skill as well. The big one for me was maths. Like people don't realize how much of a really strong maths background you need to get into it. You absolutely, if anybody here is thinking about studying computer science, for the love of God, start studying maths now. Look at equations, like how you convert equations into code. Like example, we as human beings somehow managed to make a scientific formula that calculates the correct weight of gravity. I had to learn to code that. And I still don't know how I did it, but I did. And that's the nightmare scenario. And I did that degree at the University of Hull. I don't recommend there anymore because they've had massive academic changes there since. So yeah, but that's where I did mine.
Well, would you recommend doing that degree in order to be where you are?
Yes, 100%.
And do you think drama helps though?
It has, in a sense that I'm aware that there's all this literary theory stuff, and there's also like an entire arts background as well that kind of supports what you look at too. But it's not kind of essential for content creation, I would say. It's useful, but yeah, I wouldn't say you desperately need to do it. It's just kind of good to have because obviously it's a creative process too, as well as a kind of a logical one. If that made any sense.
Do you think the drama helps you in terms of understanding what entertainment is? Because you spent...
Yes, because there was a lot of stuff I did on the drama course which has helped with like video production as well. But yeah. Is there anything else? Yep.
Yeah. Given the length of your videos being 3 hours and such long, and the number of layers you have,
Yeah.
how many exporting issues have you run into?
Thousands. No, Vegas is notorious for crashing, and it's what I use because it's a decent entry-level kit. But yeah, your stuff will crash, and it will crash a lot, and you will lose work. There's no way around it. All right, guys, I guess we should probably wrap this up now. Can we be friends? You can follow me on all these places. Obviously, I'm on YouTube and that place, which we don't really like to talk about anymore, but it's there. Fred's exists. Yeah, and also if I've really entertained you, please consider buying me a coffee so I can have something to eat and drink on the way home, or deposit something in Sonic's head if you wondered why this was here. It's like offering something to the god, but no, you don't have to do that. But obviously, if anybody does, I will credit you in my next video on Frontiers, but you don't have to do that. I just figured I'd do it because everybody else is doing it, but hey, whatever. But guys, thank you very much for coming. You actually came, yeah. Yeah, enjoy the rest of the day. Oh, and I'm also doing that trading card thing, so if you have trading cards, yes, I will swap with you.